Could AEW be set to launch a new streaming service with Warner Bros. Discovery? Well, according to reports, there is one in the works, but no plans to launch anytime soon. Swerve Strickland and Ricky Starks reportedly last year got in a backstage brawl. Why? We've got the very latest details on that. Ring of Honor is set to begin their television tapings for their weekly TV series at the end of this month. Adam Cole has explained his decision to leave WWE for AEW, plus explaining his recent recovery from concussions. He's also provided an update on the recovery of Kyle O'Reilly from neck surgery. Jay Briscoe, there's a tribute to him on the latest Jericho cruise. We've also got an update on the daughters of Jay Briscoe. Chris Jericho has also pleaded for Brian Cage to sign a new contract with AEW. Could AEW and WWE ever work together? It's something that AEW President Tony Khan has answered. Jake the Snake Roberts has been largely without his snake in AEW, but reportedly there were once at least conversations to bring a mechanical snake onto AEW programming. Jon Moxley likes to step into the cage and stab people, according to a recent interview, and Maria Kanellis provides an update after undergoing recent surgery. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. And let's start off talking about a possible streaming service for AEW. It's something that a lot of fans have wanted for a long time. And could we be about to see one launch fairly soon? Well, according to reports, there are plans, but not plans to launch anytime soon. A report has emerged that AEW is planning a streaming service that will likely be in partnership with Warner Bros. Discovery. In a feature on Tony Khan that appeared in Bloomberg, Kim Basin wrote, quote, "In March, Khan acquired the small but respected pro wrestling company Ring of Honor from Sinclair Broadcast Group Incorporated for an undisclosed sum," which is quite weird that they said that because it's been largely reported that was $4 million. Nevertheless, it continues saying, quote, "adding a new crop of wrestlers, some intellectual property, and an extensive video library. AEW is also considering starting a streaming service, likely through a deal with its broadcast partner Warner Bros. Discovery, according to a person familiar with management's thinking who asked not to be named." Now, whenever these articles are written, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, etc., whenever they say, according to a person familiar with management's thinking, asking not to be named, chances are it's management. So chances are this biography that's written about Tony Khan came from Tony Khan himself. Finally, they say, quote, "Last year, AEW broke $100 million in annual revenue for the first time," the person says, end quote. It was recently announced that AEW had struck a multi-year deal with DAZN to air content to 42 markets, including Asia and Europe, in 2022. It was noted that AEW DVDs of the pay-per-view events were no longer being carried by Shop AEW and Pro Wrestling Tees, indicating that all past content was going to be moved and eventually launched on a streaming service whenever indeed it does go to launch. So when that article was written, it got a lot of people excited. Are we going to see this AEW streaming deal, this streaming service? Is that going to launch soon? Well, probably not. After speaking with AEW President Tony Khan, Bloomberg indicated that AEW will likely announce a deal with Warner Bros. Discovery, which owns TBS and TNT TV networks, which Dynamite and Rampage air on. As I mentioned, this is what it said, quote, "AEW is also considering starting a streaming service, likely through a deal with its broadcast partner Warner Bros. Discovery, according to a person familiar with management's thinking who asked not to be named." But pouring cold water on this, Dave Meltzer now reports on Wrestling Observer Radio that AEW is not close to securing a streaming deal. Noting that the company is still interested in pursuing one, Meltzer noted, quote, "It's hard for me to judge that because the two things everybody ran with afterward are both not true. The video game is not coming out this month, obviously, because if it was, we would all know. And the other one is they're not close to a streaming deal. Of course, they want one. It's been talked about forever, for more than a year, but it's not a deal that's on the horizon right now." Now, why that isn't on the horizon, we don't know. At the same time, it's led to a lot of people speculating maybe that's because they can't find the right deal as of this moment in time, because a lot of people spoke about what was going on with Ring of Honor and television, hoping we would see it on a cable network. It's not going to be on a cable network. It's going to be on Honor Club. So is that going to happen anytime soon? I think it might be part of the conversations with Warner Bros. Discovery when it comes to re-upping the media rights negotiations. They're going to be taking place later this year. And maybe coming out of that, we might have an announcement that all of Dynamite and Rampage and AEW's back catalogue will be on HBO Max or something like that. As of right now, there's no updates. The only thing is that AEW want it and they want to pursue it. But as when it comes to launching, not anytime soon. This is a really interesting story that I think if you look at the headline, you can be a bit swerved, pun intended, by, because there was a backstage brawl last year and everything's fine now. but be wary of when you see this headline around. Now, not all of the backstage AEW fisticuffs have resulted in long-term issues. Now, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, a couple of top performers in All Elite Wrestling have admitted they got into a skirmish in 2022. Swerve Strickland and Ricky Starks were involved in a tag team championship match at AEW Double or Nothing, which led to what they're calling a, quote, scuffle per the two men. Fightful Select had reported last year there had been some issues between the two after the match due to a miscommunication. However, this was the first that anyone's really heard of it elevating into actual scuffle status. Now, Fightful are told that the issue stemmed from a miscommunication late in the match, where there was an unplanned spot that saw Swerve attack Ricky Starks after an attempted pin on Jungle Boy. Starks was originally supposed to go for his finish on someone, but Swerve found himself doing nothing and thought it would be better improv to get hit and dumped out of the ring. Otherwise, he'd be standing there watching it, and he would look quite silly. Now, Fightful had heard that they had a follow-up segment on Dynamite after that next, but they made peace after that, and they're fine to this day. They even worked together a couple of months later at AEW Fyter Fest. They're also told that the two spoke about the scuffle while on the Jericho cruise for an upcoming episode of Swerve's podcast, which can be checked out at various links or wherever you find your podcast. So there was a fight, there was a brawl, but they're fine now. And it's just one of many fights, I guess, to take place backstage in 2022. Let's talk about Ring of Honor and the future of Ring of Honor television. We know that it's going to be airing on Honor Club. When are they going to start holding television tapings? Well, the answer is very soon. Ring of Honor is set to start filming their weekly show, at least into Supercard of Honor. This comes from a report from Fightful's Will Washington. He has been told that Ring of Honor will begin their tapings nearly a year after Tony Khan bought the company. Talent have been told that the ROH tapings will take place in Orlando, Florida during the last week of February. The talent that Fightful heard back from was under the assumption that it would be at Universal Studios, where AEW regularly films Dark. Voices of Wrestling had information on the dates prior. They weren't given much of a taping schedule past that, but those that Fightful spoke to believe that would serve as the tapings that would lead into the Supercard of Honor pay-per-view on March 31st. Of course, Ring of Honor had also filmed a Jay Briscoe tribute show that will air on multiple platforms and then has already been posted to Ring of Honor's YouTube channel. There are several AEW contracted talent who were signed as far back as last spring with the intent of using them on ROH programming. So it's a strange one because from when it first was purchased by Tony Khan, there was a hope that Ring of Honor was just going to become this thing that was parallel to AEW, and it was going to be on the road, and they were going to be in arenas, and it was going to be on a cable television network. And now it's going to be a situation where they're going to be hosting bulk tapings in Universal Studios. It's not going to be on the road. It's not really going to be in arenas. And it's on Honor Club. And it's not on cable television. And I think some people will find that disappointing. What do you think about it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Adam Cole, he's back in AEW now, and he's most likely going to be making his in-ring return at Revolution later this year. And Adam Cole has commented on his NXT run, explaining why he chose to leave WWE and sign with All Elite Wrestling. Cole, of course, was one of the most decorated talents in NXT history, winning the brand's North American Championship, Tag Team Championship, and main NXT Championship during his tenure on the then Black and Gold brand. The popular star also won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic with Kyle O'Reilly in 2018 on behalf of NXT's most famous and successful faction, the Undisputed Era. Following rumors about a main roster call-up, Cole finished with WWE in August 2021 after his contract with the company expired. Less than a month after his final NXT appearance, Cole made his surprise AEW debut in the main event segment of All Out 2021. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Cole noted that his partner Britt Baker and his friends, being in AEW, were big factors in his decision to join the promotion, saying, quote, "I had a wonderful experience working in NXT with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. I learned so much from them, and it was an absolute joy to be there. All the coaches, everyone. I learned a lot being there and grew as a performer." And then looking at AEW, once again, Britt being there was a huge factor. My friends being there was a huge factor. The audience being so rabid and wild. Every single week looked so exciting, and it was something I wanted to be involved in. Of course, Cole hasn't wrestled since June of last year, but revealed last month he's now preparing to return to the ring following his serious injuries. Now, speaking of these serious injuries, he went through a lot last year, and obviously he got injured at the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door pay-per-view, and he's called it one of the most scariest moments of his career. Even going into that pay-per-view, it was reported that Cole was working through a torn labrum injury, which he had decided against having surgery on. He was just going to rehab it, and then he suffered this major concussion. Now, during the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship bout on the show, Cole suffered what was described as a serious concussion by multiple sources. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Cole recalled the match, noting that after taking a weird bump, he forgot where he was and what he was meant to do. He said, quote, "I had taken a few weeks off getting ready for Forbidden Door. I had passed every single test I had to take, so I thought, oh, I'm good to go. Then again, at Forbidden Door matchup, the strangest thing about it is, as I remember feeling really, really good. I'd taken a bump where I felt a little bit weird, but that wasn't anybody's fault. It was a normal bump. I remember thinking, oh, okay, that felt a little strange. About 30 seconds go by, and then it's like I have no recollection or memory of what I'm supposed to do, what happened in the match. The memory stuff is really, really scary part to me when you're in the middle of a ring and there's thousands of people around you, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. That was really scary. So I knew from pretty early on, after my memory started going, that something was wrong. Once again, I got to the back and got checked out. That one was really scary because they were so close to each other. It wasn't just scary because of how close they were to each other, but what really scared me a lot, and this was part of where the concern of if I'm going to be able to wrestle again came from, is I didn't do anything insane. It wasn't this dramatic move or this insanely dangerous move that I had taken. It was a standard pro wrestling match where now I'm at a point where I can't remember what I'm supposed to be doing, where I am or what's going on. That created a lot of fear in me, and I think a lot of fear in a lot of the doctors as well. So that's kind of what happened. I felt like this domino effect of first it was the shoulder, then it was the head, then it was okay, let's rest for 3 or 4 weeks, and then it was the head again. It was definitely the scariest part of my career, I think, in the 15 years I've been doing this. Of course, Cole made his AEW TV return on the January 11th edition of Dynamite to reveal that he's preparing for his in-ring comeback. As I mentioned, most likely he's going to be making his in-ring return at AEW Revolution later this year. He also provided an update on his former Undisputed Era stablemate, teammate, Undisputed Elite stablemate, teammate, Kyle O'Reilly. And obviously this is ahead of Cole's own return to the ring. Kyle O'Reilly, of course, underwent neck surgery and we haven't seen him since. As I mentioned, Kyle O'Reilly, he underwent neck fusion surgery in September of last year and has since been dealing with a post-surgical issue. Speaking once again on Wrestling Observer Radio, Cole noted that O'Reilly doesn't want to rush back before he is healthy. Stating that O'Reilly is in really high spirits, Cole said, quote, "I talk to him every day. He's doing good. He's doing really well. He's in a situation now where he's working so hard to make sure that he gets healthy as soon as he possibly can, but at the same time making sure that he doesn't rush back." Kyle was really banged up and it got to the point where he kind of couldn't take it anymore. I'm so glad he got fixed and got healthy and is recovering day by day, every day. Early on in the process, I think he was so discouraged because there was so little that he was able to do. But now as time goes on, he's starting to be able to do more and more in therapy and rehab. You see the excitement and the wheels turning of him already thinking about how he can't wait to get back. He's in good spirits and he has a lot of people around him that love him a lot. So again, no timeline on when we can expect Kyle O'Reilly back, but he is making progress and that's a positive sign certainly. Obviously, it's the Chris Jericho cruise once again, and it's kicked off with a thoughtful tribute to Ring of Honor legend Jay Briscoe, sharing a few words about the life of Jay Briscoe, Jay Lethal, and Christopher Daniels, who Jericho prefaced by saying two of Jay Briscoe's closest friends. Lethal noted he would keep his remarks short and sweet because he knows that Jay Briscoe wouldn't want to ruin the fun or make the occasion sad. Rather, Jay Lethal noted he would be enjoying Blue Moon beer throughout the trip in homage, encouraging the other partygoers to cheers for Jay Briscoe. Christopher Daniels led the crowd in a moment of silence, taking time to note that above being an incredibly tough competitor, Jay Briscoe, real name Jamin Pugh, was an exceptional family man, husband, brother, and father. Of course, Jay Briscoe's life was tragically cut short when he was involved in a deadly car accident, which also claimed the life of another driver. Jay Briscoe passed away at the age of 38 on January 17 in Laurel, Delaware. We also have an update on the daughters of Jay Briscoe. Of course, they were involved in that car accident. Jaylee, age 9, and Grace, age 12, were admitted to the hospital and treated for injuries with a long road of recovery to be expected. In a new update, the organizers of the fundraiser to support the Pugh family posted a Facebook video providing new details. Per the transcript of the video from PW Insider, quote, JJ Briscoe's 9-year-old daughter was officially released from the hospital yesterday and is back home. She will have to wear her neck and back brace for 4 more weeks, at which point she will then return to the hospital to have her back brace surgically removed. She will obviously need continued physical therapy as she recovers, but she was able to return home last night. Gracie, Briscoe's 12-year-old daughter, will be moved to the rehab floor of the hospital so she can focus more on physical therapy towards regaining the use of her legs below the knee. She has feeling in her legs, but is still unable to move them below the knees. She noted to her sister that her leg, which has felt as if the tingling is non-stop, felt normal last night. As I mentioned, the donation page is still active, and there are merchandise that Ring of Honor has released that will help support the Briscoe family, the Pugh family at this time. And certainly, once again, real positive news about one of his daughters being able to return home. The other still doing the rehab and actually starting to get that feeling back in her lower leg is fantastic news. So please continue to send your thoughts and prayers and well wishes to their family. Speaking of Chris Jericho, he's spoken on the AEW future of Brian Cage. With the recent news that Brian Cage's AEW contract is set to expire in the coming weeks, Chris Jericho has spoken to the Daily Star about why Cage should remain in AEW. In an interview with the British newspaper, Jericho said, quote, "I think Brian Cage over the last 6 months is the best Brian Cage has ever been. I think he's really finally starting to understand some of the psychology of wrestling rather than just moves and that sort of thing." Jericho would explore his further thinking, looking at the positives that Cage already had, saying, quote, "He is a one of a kind with his size and agility, but now there is more intensity, and I think he's really understanding who he is as a wrestler. 6 months ago, I might have said, well, whatever, if he stays, that's cool, but now I think he has become way more valuable part of our roster, and I would sign him for sure, absolutely." The leader of the Jericho Appreciation Society would go on to discuss the evolution in the business, adding, quote, "You're always given opportunities in the business. Like for me, when did I really become Chris Jericho? I'd say 2008. That's 18 years into the business. When I did that feud with Shawn Michaels, that's when I really got it. I had already been undisputed champion and all that other stuff, but that's when it really hit me, what wrestling is all about. So it takes a while for guys to get it. So flying under the radar, I don't see that. You have to figure stuff out on your own, and that's what makes you great." Now, do you agree with what Chris Jericho is saying? Should Brian Cage continue to stay with AEW? Should AEW sign him to an extension? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Could we ever see a day where AEW and WWE work together? Well, Tony Khan has pondered on the possibility. Of course, in recent years, the concept of cooperation between wrestling companies has opened up doors previously thought to be forbidden. From Mickie James appearing at the 2022 Royal Rumble as Impact's Knockouts World Champion to AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling holding a joint pay-per-view. However, one door that will likely remain closed for the foreseeable future is one between WWE and AEW. If the opportunity, though, were to somehow arise, AEW boss Tony Khan has shared that he would not be opposed to it, as revealed on WTF with Mark Maron. Quote, "Who knows," Khan said. "It's something I would certainly be open to, and I think it's an interesting thing for the future. It's not something that's ever really been done. They've kind of existed in their own space. We're working with a lot of wrestling promotions, and at times they've done stuff like that, but it would be a really interesting thing to see at some point." Despite Khan's openness to the idea, of course, it's very unlikely the two companies would be partnering up anytime soon. Moran, who is now just familiarizing himself with wrestling, predicted that WWE will eventually want to work with AEW in some capacity, with Khan pushing back on the likeliness of that happening. Khan then compared the relationship between the two companies to another popular media rivalry. Quote, "I think it's like Marvel and DC," Khan continued. "You don't really see those superheroes really crossing over that much. I think there'd be a lot of jostling for who's going to be positioned stronger. It would get very political. Now, that's not to say that Marvel and DC haven't released comics together in the past, because they have. You can go Google it. It did happen, but very rare, and it was very weird, and I don't see it happening with AEW and WWE. Jake the Snake Roberts. We've only seen the Snake once on AEW television. That was with Brandy Rhodes, and Jake Roberts has appeared several times on AEW TV, but the classic Snake that he is well known for has only appeared alongside him once throughout his run. However, the WWE Hall of Famer recently revealed on the Snake Pit with Jake Roberts podcast that AEW discussed the possibility of coming up with a mechanical snake for him to use. Ultimately, that hasn't happened, and Roberts noted it was going to be expensive, which could be the reason behind AEW not using it. However, mechanical pets have been seen in the wrestling world before. Remember Eric Rowan's spider? Do I have to bring that up? Terrible. This is what Roberts said, quote, "To have the snake move like a snake and come up and open its mouth and all that kind of stuff, I would love that," he said. "I wouldn't mind traveling with that, put it in a small suitcase and throw it overhead." Robert used a real-life snake in AEW, just as he had throughout his entire career, but he's only done it once and put it on Brandy Rhodes. But he admitted he doesn't think live animals are something that fans miss. He doesn't believe that it would work with the characters today simply because they don't come across as strong as the counterpart would be. But fans hoping him to bring the snake out one last time will be disappointed because he revealed TBS won't allow it. Quote, "They're not going to let the snake back in the ring, period," he said. "They were really pissed off that we used the snake. I guess that they told us that wasn't going to be allowed, but we tried to do it anyway. They came down hard." And I think they came down hard not necessarily just because of the use of the snake, but also what Jake Roberts was doing afterwards. It's a very creepy segment. Go back and watch it if you would like. But I think he's right. And in fairness, I think Jake Roberts gets it. Like, just nowadays, live animals, I just think it makes people uncomfortable because are they really into it? You know, all that kind of stuff. It's just, I just don't think it's, people just, you know what people are like. Let's leave it like that. Jon Moxley likes to step into a cage and stab people with things. Yes, this is what he has said in a recent interview. Appearing on the Justin Kinner show, the former 3-time AEW World Champion was asked what he enjoys about professional wrestling and why he doesn't take a break. Moxley answered, quote, "If I was smart, I would try to get the most amount of money for the least amount of work possible. But believe it or not, in professional wrestling, I used to do it on purpose and for free, and I still do because I enjoy it. It's recreation for me as much as anything else. What else are you going to do with your time? It's the coolest job in the world. Some people like to go golfing. I like to step into a cage and attack people with weapons and stab people with sharp things. There really is no other level of adrenaline you can reach at a certain point when you've been doing this as long as we have. I need it for my soul to get out there and get loose and get a good sweat on, get a little blood coming from my eyebrow. It's relaxing to me. I enjoy pro wrestling." And maybe that's why Moxley bleeds so much, because guess what? He likes it. Finally, Maria Kanellis has provided an update after undergoing surgery. In an update to a story that was reported previously, it was announced that Maria Kanellis would be undergoing thyroid surgery, and now she's provided an update on how she's recovering from said surgery. She wrote, quote, "Thyroid surgery went well. I even made it to Freddie's performance at the high school tonight. I was only at the game halftime for about an hour, but I'm now exhausted. Carver's 3rd birthday was today too. We did his party about 2 weeks ago. I'll share those photos soon. They removed the left side of my thyroid at Morris Hospital. It's a wonderful hospital where we had both of our children. The right side of my thyroid looked good. My doctor said so. Hopefully now the right side will start working normally and I won't have to be on medication." As I mentioned previously, she announced on February 3rd that she had undergone thyroid surgery. She arrived in AEW last year alongside husband Mike Bennett and Matt Taven as a member of the Kingdom. Obviously, we wish her the best in her recovery from surgery, and hopefully that is the end to any health issues that she has. And there you go, guys. It's the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's AEW news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.